Why do you play poker? In today's poker vlog, we're going to have some high stakes action as we always do. Kind of want to answer the question if you guys care to hear why I play poker. And obviously leave a comment in the section down below. Let me know why it is that you play poker, because I'm interested to hear all of our stories.
Here we are, back in the private game streets. The vibes are immaculate, and the stand-up game is going. $100 penalty per player, $900 bounty. And the very first hand of note happens early on in the session when early position makes it $75. Middle position, the button calls, and then the action's on me in the small blind. We look down at the old ace queen off. I go ahead and make it $400 to go. The action ends up folding all the way to the button, who will not let me get away with this so easily, and makes the call. The flop comes out Jack 10-9. Man, when you hear the word dynamic or wet, you should think of this and this only. Somehow this flop is wetter than... Get your head out of the gutters. It's wetter than the goddamn ocean. That's what it is. Luckily for us, we've got the ace of diamonds as backup, and we're opening it to the nuts straight. Easy spot for us to throw out a small c-bet. I make it 300. Our opponent thinks for a second and decides to fold. Great way to get things started off here, and not having to pay that bounty sounds great to me. I haven't even had the opportunity to rake the last pot in. The very next shuffle, we already find ourselves $50 straddle, and the cutoff makes it $150. I'm next to act, and look at this ace king, big slick baby. We go ahead and decide to bump this one up to 500. Only the cutoff makes a call here. Once again, heads up with the same foe to a flop that's not so favorable as it comes out 9-7-3. Once again, we do have a backdoor flush draw, but it's not a board that I'm in love with. Our opponent checks to me, and I go ahead and check this one back. We're off to the turn card that comes the 5 of spades. All right, not my favorite card in the world, but we do pick up a flush draw. At this point, my opponent throws out a c-bet or a delayed counter c-bet. Is that what that's called? I just made up a term. The counter c-bet for $350. Action's on me here, and with somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,800 to $1,900 in my stack. I don't love this spot, but hell, it would just be an injustice to poker for me to be folding a hand this big, so I make the call. Going to the river card, and we improve, just not in the way we were expecting, as it's a beautiful red of ace of diamonds. Our opponent thinks for a second before inevitably deciding on a check, and now we have to figure out what the hell we want to do. Well, considering there is somewhere around pot in the middle, I feel like going all in makes sense. We can hopefully get called by single pair holdings that are inferior to ours, or somehow aces that got there in the river that are also worse than ours. I go ahead and just go all in here. My opponent goes deep into the tank for quite some time, worried that I'm probably going to show him a bluff if he folds, and if he calls, I will have value. We've all been there before. Unlucky for us, our opponent eventually decides on the fold. Won't be getting any more value, but hey, we'll take it, baby. 2 for 2 to get things going. At this point, the level of degeneracy has hit new heights, as not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 blinds are out there. Triple straddle or double straddle is on for 50 buckaroonies. And with the action folded over to me in middle position, I look down at a suited 8-7 of spades. I raise it up here to 125. The button and the straddle make the call. We're going 3 ways off to a flop that I don't even have because I stopped recording like an absolute imbecile. That comes out giving me a gutter ball and a backdoor flush draw. All right, not so bad, but a little tricky when the straddle decides to lead out for 200. My kryptonite is the old lead out. I don't know what the hell to do. I have a gutter ball to the nuts, some backdoor equity. All right, I guess I call. The button folds, and we're going off to a turn card that does nothing of the sort, as it comes the deuce of clubs. At this point, my opponent checks, and I'm kind of left in this limbo where if I can start going for bluffs here, but in reality, I'd rather just see my equity here. Take my hand to showdown. The river card comes the 9 of spades. Wow, that would have been a way better turn card. I would have punted all my stack away. When my opponent decides to check it over to me, once again, I'm in this awful state of limbo where I feel like I should definitely be going for a bluff here, as I have a really bad hand, one of the worst that I'm going to have here on the river. But then, there's this little thing in poker where you go away from this GTO nonsense and you just kind of put 2 and 2 together. My opponent bet the flop and then checked to me twice. I think we can pretty credibly decide that my opponent has some kind of middling pair like 7s or 8s or 10s or something like that, or maybe even a weak queen or like an ace-6 holding. And to be quite honest, none of those hands are going to fold to whatever the hell I bet here on the river. So whether I'm supposed to or not supposed to is something up for debate, and I'm sure you guys can decide that in the comment section down below. But to be quite honest, I'm not in the mood to get top pairs to fold, as that's not what my goal is in poker, as it's pretty hard to do. So I go ahead and just give up and check this back. Our opponent ends up showing queen 5, so he definitely had a not so great queen. But man, there would have been some fireworks if a 5 came out there on the river.
Okay, so some people play poker for the obvious, and let's try to get past that. Sure, you want to make money, side hustle, whatever. That's kind of a gimmick to give me that answer, or at least for the point that I'm trying to make. I'm talking about specifically the rush of the bluff, something along those kind of lines.
Once again, we find ourselves in some limping madness, and the middle position player doesn't like any of that when he decides to make it a $100 isolation, cutoff, button, me in the big blind, the straddle, the under the gun limper, all make the call. What the hell is going on here, guys? We're going off to a flop with a bunch of money in the middle that comes out queen 5-5. All right, my little old queen jack offsuit flopping 2 pair. We love to see it. Checks the initial raiser who decides to start a bet. Makes it 225 to go. A little scary when we're like 5 or 6K ways, whatever the hell we are, and the initial raiser is c-betting. But the cutoff makes a call, and the action's on me here. I can't call pre-flop and fold to this good of a price, so we go and make the call as well. And unfortunately, I should have seen this one coming from a mile away. The straddler decides to go for a raise for 800, leaving himself about 1,000 behind. Everyone folds the actions back to me, and I'm kind of throwing up in my freaking mouth now. I'm upset. Should have seen this one coming from a mile away. Now I'm left with a decision to play for it all or to make a hero fold. If there was a flush out there, maybe I can consider it, but I decide that it's just unlikely for my opponent to be turning a hand into a bluff, as I can't even see what's a real credible bluff here. Maybe 7s, 8s, some kind of weird middling pairs going for it. But hey, if our opponent's doing that, which is Mr. Jason, massive shout out to you. You just got to give him credit for it. So I end up making a pretty big hero fold. Interested to hear what you guys think about that fold. And let me know in the comment section down below what you think he had, and I'll tell you guys at the end of the session.
So obviously it's easy to say, oh, poker's fun to make money, blah, blah. One of the big reasons I play poker, personally, is for the competition. That's a lot of what drives me.
We continue to trek along here. Once again, the $100 stand-up game is on, and we're 10-handed, so the loser has to pay out nearly $1,000. Yeah, this shit is no joke. There's only 3 or 4 players left in the stand-up game at this point when Under the Gun decides to start a race for $200. That's 10x. Not great. The small blind and the big blind make the call. $600 in the middle. Action on me in the straddle, and we look down at King Queen. Okay. I don't want to play the stupid stand-up game. I'm going to go for it. There is like half my stack here in the middle, so I'm just going to go for it. Why the hell not? $700 in dead money in the middle. We're going for it, baby. We go ahead and jam all in for $2,035. Big bluff here. Put my big boy pants on. Going for it. Under the Gun decides to call. Everyone else folds, and we decide to run out 2 boards. Kind of a big deal to win this first one, and luckily for us, we flop a flush draw when it comes 3 diamonds. The turn card solidifies said flush with the 9 of diamonds. We now have a queen high flush. River's a king of clubs. Didn't really need that, and our opponent would let me know that he also has king high. Well, we now know that we're pretty much free rolling this thing. We're going off to a second board that comes out ace high. The turn is a 3, and the river card comes a queen. Our opponent shows king 10, and somehow, someway, $4,000 pot, $4,600 shipped in my direction. Come to Papa. It seems like I got the last hand, or a couple hands ago, confused with this hand. It's in this hand that I stopped recording like an absolute idiot, so forgive me for that as we continue to catch along with this next hand. There's a $100 straddle on. That's really big. Actions on me in the cutoff. We look down at pocket 8s. I raised to 300. At this point, for some freaking reason, I just click the record button off. Big pot. What the hell am I doing? I don't know. The straddler calls and the double straddler calls. We're going off to a flop that comes giving me an open ender. Pretty decent flop for my exact hand. There is a flush draw out there to worry about. With the action checked over to me, I throw a small c-bet for a 3rd. Our opponent from the first straddler makes a call. We're going off to a turn card that comes a deuce of diamonds. Doesn't change a whole lot of anything. We still have ourselves an open-ender as well as an over. And at this point, the straddle does something interesting and leads out for $1,000. Interesting for sure. I don't know what this can really represent. I'm still open-ended. There's still a flush draw out there. Feels like a goofy spot to just fold, so I make the call. Going off to a river card with over $2,000 in the middle. And it's kind of a bittersweet one as it comes to 9 of clubs. Sure, it improves me to a straight now and a disguised one at that, but it also puts the flush draw out there. I don't even get a chance to think about all this as my opponent's already counting his stack in the middle. Yeah, goodbye to whatever little bit of hope I had in seeing a check. $3,000 is what I have about remaining here, and I'm kind of in the think tank for some time. I feel like a kid opening up a Christmas present from a family member they haven't seen. It's like, thank you, but why? I have a good hand, but can I even call here? Like, I don't know what the hell to do. After some thinking, I realized that my parents don't like me taking gifts from strangers, so I go and just make the fold here. Luckily for us, we have a very kind table mate who decides to show us his hand, and he did in fact end up rivering the king high flush. So put money in while we were ahead. That's the only thing you can ask for, and we got away from it when we weren't.
Something else I can't get enough of is the camaraderie. I really enjoy getting out there, shooting the crap with my friends, and needling and having fun. It's by far and away probably the most exciting thing in a poker session for me.
Swingy session for sure. It's been going on for some time, and to be quite honest, I've been fairly card dead. Looking at a lot of 8 deuce and 10 deuce off. When we finally look down at a 10 followed by a king and it's suited. Actions on me on the button. I raise to 300. Small blind and the straddler make the call. We're off to a flop here that's not half bad as it comes out 9-7-3. Yeah, sarcasm. Hope you can catch that. With the action checked over me, one thing I will tell you is that a little bit of passiveness and the sheer inability to run good in these spots lately causes me to check this back. Turn cards of 5 of hearts. There we go. Okay, I'm feeling good. Even more so when our opponent goes for blood and bets 700 from the small blind. Actions on to me after the fold. And yeah, I'm going for it, baby. I make the call. The river card pairs the board and brings us 7 of spades. At this point, my opponent throws out a big bet for $2,000. I only have about $2,500 behind. And here I go once again in the tank. I'm a little frustrated as I didn't make my flush, but I'm also like, dude, there's a world where I'm good here. The problem is, in this world, there's also hands that are bluffing me that have me beat. Random pair plus flush draws, obviously, like a hand like 6-5 of clubs, and obvious hands like ace X of clubs or better king X of clubs. I don't love it. If I see a spot the hero call, you freaking know I go for it. But in this spot, think better of it, and I just go ahead and make the fold. Our opponent would later tell me that I ended up making a good fold, so here we go. One thing I love doing is saving the best for last, and oh by golly did we do that. $50 straddle is on. Actions on me here in middle position. I looked down an ace jack of diamonds. Woo, finally some beautiful suited hand to look down at. I can't wait to get my $150 raise in the middle. The big blind and the double straddle make the call. 3 ways off to a flop that is... I mean, I wish I knew the chef, because I would kiss them personally. Ace, Jack, 6. Whew. Honestly, this is love at first sight. I remember this like I was still in high school, going after the girl of my dreams at the time, it felt like. The action checks to me, and like a kid dumb in love, you're never going to get me away from this girl. Ace and Jack, how I love you. I go ahead and throw out a meaty bet for $350. Alice and Janice will never let me down. And even better yet, the straddler makes a call. The turn card, just praying for no club. Keep it clean, dealer, and it comes. A 3 of diamonds. That is a brick, ladies and gentlemen. We love this side of that. And with around $2,300 or $2,500 left in my stack, I think about a couple different options, and I just realized we got to get some money in the middle. I bet a little bit on the bigger side once again, going for a $1,000 bet. And my opponent obliges. He also makes the call once again. River card, dealer, please. Yes, 4 diamonds. I mean, it could not have come out any cleaner. In poker, when spots are easy like this, you just feel so grateful. We go all in for $1,350. Pot of the night, spot of the night. Our opponent makes the call of the night. We show our hand, And we are good, of course. Our opponent will later tell me that he also flopped 2 pairs. So another massive cooler. Luckily for us, as opposed to like it's been in the past future, it's going in my direction. A huge pot to get me over the hump and solidify a great session for us. We would go on to play a little longer before the session ended up closing out for me. We love it, baby. Back to the winning ways. Let's go.
I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy.
So, in closing, I guess my main point was just to kind of get a gauge of where y'all were at. I play poker for what feels like a lot of different reasons. The biggest ones are honestly not driven by money. To be quite honest, the wins never mean to me as much as the losses. Not because it sucks to lose money. It sucks to lose, man. That's just how I am. So, in final, when you go out to play poker, make the effort to not be a grinder. Enjoy yourself and enjoy the ride. It's kind of why we're all doing this damn thing, right? Anyways, today's session was obviously a ton of fun to film, and we've got to talk about the numbers today. That session was not as quick as it seemed. We just couldn't get much going as far as hands. The one thing that was great was that we did okay. We ended up winning a little bits of money, which we're happy to take every day of the week. So we were into the game for 1975 and out for 5135. So math is escaping me, but we won like 3,000 or 3,200 or something. We'll definitely take it. That is an exciting feat. I will be going to the World Series of Poker this weekend. I don't know when you guys are seeing this, but in real time, this coming weekend, today's Wednesday, I'm going to be going over to the World Series of Poker, which I'm very excited to do. I'm going to be playing some different tournaments, so wish me some run good. If not, you know, we'll obviously be back at the Lucky Lady where I belong. But we're going to be shooting some new film, some new B-roll, some new vlogs. All of that will be happening, luckily, at some new places. So let me know in the comment section down below where you guys want to see me play. Resorts World, the Aria, the Dusty Bellagio. Shout out to Bellagio. We love the Bellagio. But yeah, some fun stuff is definitely in store. Not a whole lot to talk about the session. Luckily, like I said, most of the time people don't run good and they lose. I didn't run very good and I won. So do with that with what you will. I brought food from my restaurants as well as drinks. It was a freaking blast. It was a really special time. So all that to be said, I don't got much more to talk about. I've done enough talking for the year. I am going to go edit this video most likely. Outside of that, have a wonderful day. Stay happy, healthy, and more importantly, work at the tables, y'all. Deuce.
My eyes closed. I can do this with my eyes closed.